Hey, everybody. Welcome
Hello.
to the April 2nd Community of Practice. As you know, my name is Kyle Mankey, Community Research Specialist, joined alongside my team. Aletha, Sharon, Christina, Janelle, Adriana, and Andy are also here helping us out here. We're going to just get right into it today. For the sake of time, we got kind of a packed schedule as normal. I want to make sure that we have enough time to get through everything. So we can move on to that first slide, Andy. So just a breakdown of what we're going to go through today. So of course, we're going to go through the SWTC highlights, a few things that I just want to share with you all. A new portion of this, I know we kind of started the last COP with agency highlights, and it had me kind of just discussing some quick things. And we discussed it, and we want to give the agencies a voice in this. So we always highlight a customer, but again, we know that there's other things going on that we want to highlight. And sort of in the true sense of a community of practice, we are all here as the SWTC community, working towards the same goal. And it's difficult work, it's intricate work. So we want to kind of highlight some of the different things that each agency is doing in hopes of sort of building some conversations, inspiring people, helping people think about different ways that they can approach this. We have a customer profile, which will be presented by Human Support Services. This is Grace, and it'll be presented by Michelle Crawford. And then at the end, I just want to kind of have an open forum about some things that I've been thinking about as I've been meeting with my agencies, discussing. So I hope that we can all chime in. Just sort of about client, parent, guardian involvement, preparing clients for employment, the different readiness factors that you all look for when you're working with a client. And then when you're connecting a client with an employer, sort of how you navigate those conversations. I'd like to hear from the group about different experiences they've had. I think that each client in each situation is probably different and unique, but I think we all could gain some insight from understanding how everyone kind of approaches this topic. And then finally, the quality of life event that's happening at the beginning of May. I just have a few little blurbs of information I want to share with everybody. It might be things that you've heard in your emails and your correspondence with your CRS team, but I just wanted to bring that to the table here so we could all gather that information, discuss it, try to answer any questions you all may have, and kind of build some understanding for what that event is and what it looks to accomplish. So we can go to the next slide, please. So I just wanted to highlight the SWTC Connect this month. I'm sure all of you get the emails. I know everyone's really busy, but I just wanted to highlight some of the content that's in this month's SWTC Connect. I'm sure you employment specialists remember being interviewed by the SWTC evaluation team. So within this month's CDub, that information was gathered, put together, and has been put out in a brief. So I would think that you guys would really want to take a look at that. It's very interesting to see different people's perspective on this work. Something else to highlight is the 2025 IIRER Symposium on Mental Health. So this is an in-person event. It is open to you all. It is taking place in Schaumburg. It is going to go through innovative clinical applications, in the private and forensic sectors regarding mental health and work. So I think that, we all realize that work is important for money, but work is also a huge factor in mental health, right? It gives it gives people a place to put energy, to build social connections, to feel accomplishment. So this is a symposium that's going to sort of talk about how work relates to mental health as well. So that's on June 20th, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. in Schaumburg at the Marriott. You can find the registration within the SWTC Connect, and the deadline to register is May 15th. Something else in SWTC Connect that I would like to highlight is the Illinois Council on Developmental Disability Survey. So as we all know, Dignity and Pay is here. There's a 5-year phase-out plan, and the Illinois Council on Developmental Disabilities is currently in the process of developing that 5-year plan. So this is an open survey. This is for families, stakeholders, clients, everyone that's going to be affected by this new legislation. So you can go on and you can share your insights. I think everybody has opinions on this. They want their voice to be heard, and this is going to be a perfect place where you can sort of voice those concerns directly to the folks that are going to be navigating this 5-year plan and who will be working with the governor's office to implement this plan. So please take the time to, highlight some things, your concerns, your suggestions. That would be really helpful. You all are in the trenches. We all are in the trenches with this. So we want to kind of provide insight into some of the best practices, some concerns that people have. So if you could take the time to do that, I think that would be really great. We can move along. Sylphie's Media. So during the last COP, there was a big shout out just to everyone's work to get this done. All 6 agencies, employment specialists, the employment sites. It was a huge success. We have received the first edits of those videos, and I will just tell you they look incredible. Obviously, I was on site for both of my Sylphie shoots, but still watching the videos, it hits you in the heart. I really must say, I was surprised how affected it made me feel watching the way the videos are put together, the narration, the shots. So they're going through the final edits right now. We're just making some adjustments, making sure things are all looking good. Those will be posted on YouTube, and then you will be able to share them agency-wide and with the employment sites. And I think that everyone is going to be quite pleased at how they turned out. They're just beautiful. Lastly, I want to highlight is the SWTC outreach data tracking form. So within the agencies, we have been asking for outreach data. So in regards to the youth that you've been meeting with, maybe going to transition events or hiring fairs, along with the adults that you are talking with SWTC about. And we have been looking to get the numbers that, the number of people you've connected with, where you've connected with them at. So we have developed an outreach tracking form, which will make this really, really simple for you all to track and submit to SWTC. This was developed by Christina, so a big shout out to her. And there will be a training on this. There will be a recording, so you guys can watch the training at your own time. But it's pretty basic. It just breaks down numbers, time of the event. And I think that'll be really helpful for us to capture that data in a really succinct way and have everyone on kind of the same board with what's expected. So be on the lookout for that as well. We can move on to the next slide, please. And then just as always, we like to keep you guys updated on the numbers within SWTC as a whole. I think something to note, as I think I always say, every time we have a community of practice, these numbers rise, right? There's always more. There's always more people engaged, more people connected with DRS, and most importantly, more people connected with jobs in their community. So you guys are obviously doing the right work, right? We're all working together in this, but employment specialists, agency personnel, you guys are really committed to this, and the results show it. So I just think it's really awesome to see this. Okay. So as I was saying, we're going to do some agency highlights. Some first things, so we're going to start with AID. AID is out in Aurora. Something that I want to highlight is there's 2 new personnel at AID. You have to pardon me. One person's name is not on this slide. The first person I would like to highlight is Eva Outlaw. So Eva will be the new part-time employment specialist at AID, doing the same work that the other employment specialists are doing. You will be meeting her at the Quality of Life event. She will be there. Eva, if you're on the call and you wanna say hello to the group, that is perfectly fine.
Hi, everyone. Eva, I'm glad to be here. I've had an opportunity to meet Kyle in person. Just excited about this new adventure and super excited to support my colleague in her presentation today. The video was absolutely amazing. So Nikki, cheers.
Thank you, Eva.
Thank you.
Um, and the other personnel is Ann Jump. So Ann is the new manager of Employment First at AID. So she will be working directly with the SWITSI employment specialists. Um, and Ann, I'll let you introduce yourself as well.
Hello, everybody. I'll be supervising the rest of the AID team for Switzy, and yeah, I look forward to working with everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Ann. Yeah, we look forward to working with you all as well. Lots of good stuff going on at AID. And now I'm going to pass it over to Nikki at AID, Nikki L., who is an employment specialist there, to discuss a situation she had with one of her clients where I really think she went above and beyond to support this client in their first steps to achieving community employment. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Nikki.
Hello, everyone. So I had a client who's nonverbal. When I first met her, she was very shy. And she did not want to engage with me at all. She would come in and have her back turned to me a few times. And she would come in with her phone as well. So I asked parents to please take her phone from her before she comes to the meeting so that she can be more engaged. And yes, the parents are talking for her, but I need her to be engaged with me. So they took the phone from her. That did work eventually. So, but I didn't, at that time, she did not have an AT device. So I would say just like she has one now, thanks to the wonderful DRS counselor, Z, she did get her one. So we did get the device eventually, but before we got the device, we just communicating by, I would bring different items in, um, like things to have a sort or things we counted together, just to have her learn to follow directions. We did that for a while. Then, but we started using the device. So on the device, we had an app downloaded that allowed us to build sentences with her. So we would listen to the prompt and like it'll say, for instance, click the yellow bird. So she'll listen. Sometimes she would click because it gave 4 different options. So she clicked first, she was just clicking any picture. She was not listening like that. But eventually she did get it. Um, we even though she was not getting them correct at first, we still congratulated her because we were just so happy that she engaged and she was willing to participate. So we moved on from that. Eventually, someone did come to our house because at first we was not able to communicate with her by using like, well, for instance, like I want water, I want juice or milk. We didn't have those options at that time. So someone did eventually come and downloaded the different things that related to her, the different stores she likes to go to, the different foods she likes to eat, so that she communicate to her parents, making her bed, different little things to communicate. So eventually we start working on that there as well. At first, I would pick the pictures, the ball that say she like juice, milk, cookies, whatever. I would click it first, then I would have her come behind me and also do it, listen for the prompt, and then she would also click what she wanted. So eventually we were like, are you ready to go home? She like either yes or no. She clicked the word yes. So she started getting better each time. I explained to the parents as well why we're building the sentences, and we're also working on her to communicate to them directly that they also had to work with her at home as well. So I noticed a big change in her when from the beginning, we started using the AT device, how she wasn't really engaging a whole lot to how that I know the parents were working with her. And when I was working with her, I seen a growth in her. And each time she did something good, we just give it a thumbs up. She had the biggest smile on her. And that made a big world of difference. It may not be a big thing, but it's a big thing to her. And the big thing to us is me being her job coach and also the parents, or just have your heart just melting. So then the last thing we did recently, we went to not Dollar Tree, I'm sorry, Dunkin' Donuts. And because at school they say she was delivering coffee to the different teachers. So we ordered our food, we sat down, and then we had her bring the food to us. And she gave all of us our food the correct way. And so then I was like, well, Jennifer, would you like to go get something at the register? So then she said, yes. She nodded to me, yes. So I said, Jennifer, show me on your prompt. Tell the cashier what would you like. She went on the prompt and showed the cashier that she wanted some water. And she was so happy she did that. Again, thumbs up, biggest smile ever. Just again, the engagement of that part, just her being able to communicate a little more. And she's communicating now also at home with the parents with the communication device. I asked the parents to communicate with her only through the device. And that has helped a whole lot. And she's doing beyond what she was doing before, making her bed, asking she want to make her bed, she wants to wash dishes, what store she like to go to. She's communicating that with them now with the device now. And
Thank you
that's
for
it.
sharing that, Nikki. Thank
Oh,
you. I
you're welcome.
appreciate that. Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, me and Nikki have been talking about this client for a while. And Nikki has just done such a wonderful job, both working with the client and the parents. I think the parents were not fully aware of some of the supports they should be offering her. And Nikki has been able to really get the parents on board to sort of make sure that, what is she's teaching is being supported at home as well, which is really big, right? This is a youth client. They were receiving a lot of supports within school, and now the parents were kind of unsure of how to navigate this. So that small win, it's a big win for this client to be able to man for something that she wanted using her own voice, right? Using her communication device, not having someone else have to do it for her. Really, I think it builds confidence, right? We like autonomy as people. We like to be able to take care of ourselves. So I think that, highlighting that is just really awesome. And then being able to see this client be more engaged at home and the parents be more engaged. I just think, Nikki, you've done such a wonderful job working with this client that is, it's been kind of a tough case, And then Tara's not here today. Tara is on vacation, but Tara did want to share some things, so I'm going to share for her. So one of the things that Tara has been experiencing is some of her clients have some limited time in the community. So obviously we know that if you're going to work a community job, if you're going to travel, you have to be able to be out in the community independently at some point. So Tara has done a really nice job working within AID, working with case managers and the queues to help sort of advocate for this client, working alongside the client's guardian as well to sort of explain, the support that they're going to receive and get them on board with this. So originally the person only had, a minimal amount of time in the community based on their treatment plan. And with Tara's assistance, she's been able to get that change within the treatment plan. So now this person has more time offered in the community, which of course is going to open up employment options for this person. So that's something that Tara's been navigating that she was really, really happy about once she got that put in place. And then she also just wanted to highlight how the positive relationship that she, and I would say all of AID has with their DRS offices. AID works with 2 different DRS offices. And just building that relationship, that connection really, really makes the work easier, right? We're all trying to sort of communicate this information to each other. And sometimes things can get lost in emails or just general communications. People don't, not everyone's understanding of each person's role. And Tara was just saying how navigating that with the VR counselors that she's been working with has just been really, really great, based on the relationships they have, a very open level of communication, which also supports the clients in receiving those services, getting documentation filed quickly, completed quickly, NOSs, all the sort of background things that have to fall in place for a client to receive these services. So big shout out to AID, always doing good work, always making things happen, continuously trying to support clients in, outside of the box ways and make things lead to employment. So I appreciate you, Nikki, for sharing. Thank you so much. We are going to move along to CTF. And I'm going to pass it over to Sonia, who I think you all know is an employment specialist. And Sonia, I'm going to give you the floor.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. CTF has been working with Christine by attending the multiple transitional fairs. So we went to Thornton Fractional District 15. We attended the Southland Transition Planning Committee, which was for multiple districts. And we also went to the Community High School District 218, which is the Eisenhower Cooperative. During these events, information was shared to help engage the youth with switching, and contacts have been made where we have submitted 4 or 5 additional family services and still engaging those for after graduation. During some of our business development outings, while helping companies overcome stigma that is associated with hiring people with disabilities and working, and then helping them to understand that the liability is no different than hiring a person without a disability. A contact was made with Red Robin in that's in Portland. And while speaking with the managing partner, the mission of CTF and our partnership with Switchy, Illinois was explained. Meredith, who has over 30 years of experience and also has a family member with disabilities, she was quite intrigued about the plan. Excuse me. So the goals and the deliverable plans that CTF and Switchy combined, it spoke to her desire of wanting to give back to the community and those in need. So we discussed and orchestrated a plan where individuals may come in to do working interviews with the hope of increasing their ability to effectively communicate with diverse groups of people. Now, the situational would also help them with confidence when speaking with people they don't know or being able to properly present themselves, prepare for working in the community. As of now, we've had 8 Switchy participants that have participated in the working interview, and there has been 1 job offer presented to one of our individuals, and that was based off of his desire to want to work in an environment where he could increase his janitorial experience and the ability to become comfortable with speaking with people. So we're excited about that possibility for this participant and the continued building of the working relationship with Red Robin. Now, second contact was also made with its Treasure Chest Foundation for Pediatric Oncology. CTF, we attended their marketing and sponsorship event, followed up with a contact that was made with Candace Mize, I believe is how we say her name, who was an administrative assistant there. And then yet another working situational was formed where the participants are able to volunteer for 2 hours a week and help pack and sort goods that are donated and given to children who are battling cancer. So far, 4 of our participants have gone there, and they did such a great job that they were actually called to come back. So we look forward to continuing that experience. And then the opportunity that it gives to them that may have never worked. So it gives them an opportunity to learn some valuable traits that will be required to work in the community. Lastly, we want to highlight the use of the valuable resources that have been given to us. Some of it was given to us down when we were in Champaign previously, which is IATP. And then I received another one from the Doors counselor, Sheila O'Donnell, while working with some of our clients who have the cochlear implants or hearing aids. So we have a resource for In Touch app, which is through Sorensen's, which allows for an individual who is deaf to have a sign voice interpreter service. And they gave us that. Well, what they're going to get is a telephone number, which will allow people to call them. But when they answer the phone, it's going to be a video interpreter for them. There's a free service. And I also want to thank Kyle, who assisted me with getting that part of the funding part of that contacted and set up. And then he also kind of helped me with the breakthrough conversation with this non-auditory individual. With IATP, we did receive equipment, which is like a laptop or so, which is a device where we're able to use kind of like what Nikki said, where you can kind of use the device to show pictures or help to be able to communicate back and forth. So we do just want to highlight those, and we want to thank you all for your help so far.
Awesome. Thank you, Sonia. I just kind of want to piggyback on some of that stuff because I think it highlights some really unique scenarios within SWTC. Just that connection with Red Robin. I mean, Sonia we've been talking about Red Robin, in our check-in. She's been continuously working with that individual there to make that connection. And I think it highlights how once you find the right person, which we know is not easy in the community, right? Trying to find someone who's going to be empathetic and want to sit and listen and give you these opportunities. She's really worked that. Once she identified this person, she's continued to make connections, brought more clients in, given them that experience within the community. And, I think this has been like months in the process, right, Sonia? And, from that, a young man did a mock interview, and they were so impressed that they called him back for a real interview, and then they hired him. So, it's kind of a slow rollout for that end result, but that end result is probably going to be more, what's the word I want to use? It's going to work better for that client because they're making connection with someone that Sonia has already built trust with, and trust that they understand the needs of this client who's going to get the job. So I just think that is really, really awesome. And then in regards to that adaptive technology, the app that Sonia was talking about, if any of you are working with individuals that their primary mode of communication is sign language, I was extremely impressed by this app. So you simply it's an app you put on your phone, you call in, and then someone shows up on the screen and they are ready to talk via sign language. So for any of the agencies that may be working with clients that are deaf or hard of hearing, feel free to reach out to us if you want more information about that. Just like Nikki as well, right? She was able to get that technology from DRS. So, we provided that information about IATP, and they are ready to help. They have supported both of my agencies, and there's a lot of good technology out there that can really, really help, help you communicate. I think that giving someone a voice is huge in this. So big shout out to Sonia, the whole CTF team, Nikki and AID as well. Thank you very much for your participation in this today. And we can, all right. I'm just looking at our time here. Okay. So now we're going to move along to the customer case study. And I am going to toss the mic over to Michelle at HSS.
Hi, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
We can hear you. Yep. Thank you.
We're having issues here because of the storms coming in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know that it's sweeping through Illinois right now.
Yes. So I'm Michelle. I'm the employment specialist here at Human Support Services along with Judy. Our case study is on Grace Grant. Grace had previously worked at McDonald's before she joined the SWITC program. She would work 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. They kept her in a corner. Like she had no communication with anybody, no interaction. So she was not happy there and she just didn't thrive. So we have her now working at a grocery store. So she is done phenomenal. She has like blossomed. She talks to people now. She's not shy like she used to be. So this has been really, really earth-changing for her. So she is an SMW contemplator. She's in the adult program. And the grocery store she works for is called Schnucks. We have a great rapport with them. She makes $15 an hour. She works 3 days a week, 2 hours per shift. Next. Okay. It's Grace's team. So her DRS counselor is Tracy Williams out of the Belleville office. The U of I community research specialist is Aletha Alexander, who is amazing. I am her employment specialist here at HSS. Her family is very supportive in everything that she does. And on the job, she has really got a great team. She has the management team, the front end supervisors who are very caring and understanding with her, the cashiers and fellow courtesy clerks. Next. Okay. Her DRS process. She is customized. The date of referral was February 22nd, 2024. The date of IPE initiation was February 16th of 2024. What information was sent with the referral? Nothing at that time. What additional information was required to determine eligibility? We had to collect medical records, proof of diagnosis, guardianship record, and personal identification information. Okay. Grace's employer, she's a courtesy clerk or a bagger. Are you customizing employment, or are you providing accommodations to a job position available to the general public? Grace's position was customized to her abilities. For the physical health reasons, she's unable to collect carts from the outside to bring into the store. She has coaching services, and she tends to try to pick and bite her fingernails. So we have gotten gloves for her to wear that are her favorite color, pink, so that she will not bite her fingernails while she's working. How did you gain entry, build employer relationship? We already had one of our first SWTC clients working there, and everything was going perfectly with her. So the manager hired her without even seeing her. He just told me to have her come in and she would start. So, you know, we have a great relationship with the management team at Schnucks. Okay. All right. The employment barriers. Grace has difficulty with social situations. Grace began by simply saying hello to customers, and she has slowly built up her courage to actually have conversation with them. Grace does not drive, so her parents and the local transit company do all of her transportation needs for her. Grace has a job coach present at each shift. Grace needs additional supports while working. Her job coaches are always there for her support. Okay. Grace is Grace is unable to push the grocery carts from the parking lot to the vestibule in the store. She has a letter from her neurologist excusing her from pushing carts into the store. That is one of the main job descriptions that they have, and that makes the customized all that more important for her here. Grace has a nervous habit of biting her fingernails, so her mom purchased pink latex gloves for her to wear to keep her from biting her nails, and most of the time that works. Okay. What did you learn with the customer's employment process? I learned that each customer's needs and skills are very different. You definitely need to know your customer well in order to give them the best fitting outcome. What will you do differently with the next customer? I will observe the customer's behaviors and how they react to situations in a better way. What are your strategies to ensure the customer and employer remain satisfied for this employment situation? The employment specialists at Human Support Services work very closely with the managers and supportive supervisors. We keep communication lines open and easy to work with them. We continue to visit the store and talk with the customer and the management team, offering any assistance at any time for the SWTC customer. Okay. This is, Grace was asked these questions. What do you like best about your job and why? She said she likes to help people, and she also likes to tell them, have a nice day. And she says it very loudly. It's very cute. How does working at Schnucks and being a SWTC participant make you feel? She says it makes her happy. And what do you plan to do with your first paycheck? Well, apparently Grace went and bought a DVD. She bought one of the Shrek movies. Mom can't remember which one it was, but she bought a DVD. Okay.
So thank you for that, Michelle. I want to open the floor to some questions. I have some questions, but does anyone else have questions regarding Grace?
Oh, this is Aletha. Might add something to the conversation.
Of course.
Okay, thank you. So I first want to just congratulate Michelle on an awesome job that she's doing with not only Grace, but with every customer that she has on her caseload. I've had the opportunity to spend some time with Grace, and she's an amazing young woman. And she has a very bright future ahead of her. And the fact that she has done as well as she has and has come so far, even her mother, Michelle was telling me that her mother is just so excited that having Grace be a part of SWITSI has changed her life. Michelle, did you want to say something to that?
Yes. So when she first started, she was very shy. She wouldn't, no eye contact or anything. They were at a family function around, I think it was a Super Bowl party. And the family understands, you know, she's very quiet and she stays to herself. She grabbed a Dr. Seuss book and started reading it to her 4-year-old cousin. And everybody was shocked that she, you know, on her own without any prompts, she just started reading to him. And her mom had tears. She was so happy, you know, to see her daughter actually thrive.
Thank you, Michelle. That story I wanted you to get out there because that is a demonstration of the commitment you have with your customers, and most of you have experienced things like that. And I think that's what makes this program amazing. So thank you. Great job, Michelle. Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah, I want to stay on Grace for a sec. Michelle, you had said something that she was spending a lot of time in the corner. I'm sorry I missed the first part of it. Was she at Schnucks doing another job and then you advocated for her to get a different role?
I'm sorry, I didn't explain that well. She
That's okay.
her previous program, and she was working at McDonald's. And her job there was to make the breakfast burritos, to roll them, and also to put the toy into the Happy Meal boxes. But when you would go in to see her, she's back in this corner. Everybody else is on the other side of the building. She has no communication with anybody. And it just made me sad because you just are disconnected from everything. And that pretty much was the way she was. She just was not communicating with people because she didn't know. She didn't have the need to do that there. So it was a very sad job placement for her.
Yeah, okay. That now I'm understanding. Yeah, I think that, both the story about her reading the book and her obviously being happy to say, have a nice day, right? She had that in there, but she needed you, Michelle, to sort of support and assist her with getting that personality out, which I think is, that's what I'm trying to highlight with some of this stuff is that a job is important for so many reasons. It is so important to someone's mental health, their level of confidence. So yeah, really, really awesome work. And I'm also kind of curious about what was Grace's first reaction to the gloves? Was she open to that, or what did it take some time to get her used to that?
If they would have been any color but pink, it probably would have been a problem. But since they were pink, her favorite color, she was able to do that without, having any meltdowns. Because Grace, any change at all for Grace can cause dramatic breakdown for her. We had that happen before she started working at Schnucks. We went to do a situational assessment, and it was not her normal schedule, and she screamed and just lost it the whole way that I drove her from one place to the next. We couldn't even complete the interview because she was just so distressed. So as long as we explain to her and put things in writing and show her pictures, she will adapt to it easily.
Awesome. And I'm kind of curious about what was the initial interview like at Schnucks? Was that a working interview or? There
was no interview. He hired her. He just told me, Gabby, one of our first client for SWITSI that was employed, was doing so well, and he seen how well that we work with them, and he said, yeah, if you have somebody else, just bring them in. So he never interviewed her.
Okay, so that's obviously a connection that you guys have created a strong bond with, and they trust the clients that you're bringing in and that you're going to be there to support them.
Correct.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any questions regarding Grace? Well, I am curious, I'm guessing the employer was okay with the accommodation, the customization with the carts. That wasn't a big barrier.
To the employers or to the management, it wasn't, but a lot of the coworkers did not care for that. But it's not, we don't have to explain to them why she doesn't have to do carts. We
Right.
just, she did actually last week deliver groceries to one of the handicapped customers to their car. She took the cart out, put the groceries in her car, and then she brought the motorized cart back in the store, which that's huge because we were trying for months to get her to learn how to drive the cart and she couldn't do it. And then all of a sudden last week, she does it on her own.
I love it. I mean, it just highlights too how you offer people more opportunities to do things, and based on the confidence they've built by, completing a one job successfully and feeling comfortable with it, how they're willing to take on another task as long as someone's giving them that opportunity.
Yeah.
So super happy for Grace. I think that's awesome.
It's definitely building her esteem.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Really great stuff. I did realize that I breezed past the agency highlights and didn't offer any chance for questions to AID or CTF. So feel free to jump in with questions about that. You can throw them in the chat. I think some of that stuff about working with clients that are nonverbal, that can be new for some folks, and that can be sort of a difficult process to navigate. So feel free to jump in with some questions. So the last thing I wanted to do here, and I really am hoping for some participation based on just like your experiences, working with clients, what you've noticed, how you navigate things. Something that I've noticed that my employment specialists are having to sort of navigate now with youth clients is that parents or guardians are really wanting to be involved during every step of the process. They want to be sitting next to the client during the interviews, when you go out in the community. And I think we all know that while it's very understandable, right? This is a new process. They were in school where they were getting this support, this one-on-one support. And now when you're trying to achieve community integrated employment, it's a huge difference from that, right? But I think we all know that in order for someone to be successful, they have to gain that confidence in themselves. They can't be consistently looking to mom, dad, guardian for those responses when being asked a question. Does anyone have any insight into navigating that conversation with a parent or a guardian?
I actually, this is Michelle from HSS. Actually, it's Grace. Her mother is very, easygoing and, will go with whatever we recommend or what we try to start process with her. Dad, not so much. Dad doesn't want us to have her doing anything. He wants her to be in a bubble. So I have just learned to speak to mom and let mom tell dad, because dad would absolutely say no to everything.
Has dad come around at all with the success that Grace has had?
No. It was really upset the other day when she had taken the groceries to the customer's car. He almost had a meltdown when he got home. Once I told him.
A meltdown in a good way?
No, not good. He thinks that we're, giving her too much, freedom, that she's not protected as much as she should be.
Right. And I mean, yeah, and that's exactly where I'm kind of trying to have this conversation, because it's very understanding. I understand why that's occurring. But, it's just that level of, there's dignity and risk, right? Allowing Grace to have that chance to do that really is, going to open her up to other things. Can anyone else speak about that? A personal situation where you've had to navigate that conversation?
This is Vicky from VCU. Parents have gone from a point where they've been in school where the parents knew everybody in the classroom, knew their mamas, knew their daddies, knew everybody's stories. Lots of times these kids have been together for years. And now all of a sudden, here comes, our employment program. And, I've had a lot of discussions about dignity of risk, but if something happened to my child, there's no dignity in that. So it's really employment specialists just to be sensitive to it. And where you might typically, it's the end of your day, it's the end of the shift, you really going to have to carve out time to sit down and talk to mom and dad and share what happened during that day on the job site. Who did they meet? Who did they talk to? Some of the changes, and just work that into your schedule. It's going to, you may have spent all day with somebody, but you're going to have to carve out more time to really have a conversation with mom and dad, and just it will change. It will change over time as they can see their child grow, but it will probably be a slow process.
This is
Thank you.
Kathy from the workshop. And just to kind of add to that, one of the things that helped with a couple different families who, were nervous. They were nervous about the person I was working with working in the community. And so I would send photos, and it seemed to help a little bit, because then they maybe, I don't know what they were thinking or visualizing, but it gave them something concrete, and especially, when things were going well, just to say, hey, look at this successful moment. So that helped a little bit.
That's a particularly good idea, because you don't want parents showing up on the job site. And that's the next thing that'll happen when they start getting concerned. So showing, having pictures. Also, if organizations start, if you have a number of really successful folks, you can start a parent group where it's parent to parent discussing this. And having, if you could get one parent who really turned around about, really worried about employment, and now they're a real employment advocate, get them to lead a group that they could help other parents to kind of process those feelings, can be really helpful.
I think, yeah. Go ahead.
This is Jen McDonough, and Vicki and I have worked together a long time. We've seen a lot of interesting situations, and just note that Nikki and the AID team put a little tip sheet into the chat, which I love. AID, they've always got a good cheat sheet and some tips for you. So she put something in that you can reference as well. But if you've got a parent, like Vicki said, and maybe they're not willing to take the time to do a parent group, maybe they are just willing to be an advocate that will talk to other parents. So when you hit that stumbling block of a parent that's concerned and a little bit protective, as we all can be with our children, that you can say, do you mind if I have this parent contact you? And, and it's not as time intensive as maybe a group. We have seen parents show up on job sites, and we have seen parents where they're not comfortable with us being left alone with us initially. And so even before we get to the job site situation, so when we're getting to know them and getting to learn who these individuals are, they're bringing them to our office, or they're hanging out in the same spaces where we're hanging out, getting to know the person. But again, like others have said, spending that time with the parent to say, this is what I'm going to do. These are, and even writing it out and saying, this is, how I'm going to set up our meetings. We're going to start out, we're going to be in this type of environment where it's really controlled. And then we're going to move to a more public space where we're going to the mall and we're having conversations and interactions at the mall. And then we're going to go to some job sites. And so that the parent has some understanding and some plan of what's going on. I feel like many of us, myself included, when we don't know what the plan is, when there's unknown and things that I can't control, that's when I get the most anxious. And so what can we share with the parents so that they feel like there's some sort of plan in place? And what is the plan if something goes wrong? And what is my phone number if you've got a concern? And while we're out together today, you just want to make sure that you know where we are. Here's my cell phone number. I always encourage families to put the Life 360 app on their children's phones, just as a safety measure when they're using public transportation, when they're traveling with. I've got a 20-year-old that's getting ready to drive to Pittsburgh this weekend with friends. I'm a nervous wreck, so I'll be able to see that where he is at all times, just like our parents that we work with will be able to say, okay, they made it safe to the mall, or they made it back to the center safe. They're moving. Okay, they're not stuck in a ditch somewhere. Those are the types of things that can help parents feel a little more comfortable as they begin working with, like Vicki said, these people that they don't know from Adam.
Awesome. I really appreciate everyone's insight into that. It is an interesting thing to navigate. And I think, when you get a youth client or someone that's coming from, from the school system or transition center, you're working with the parent and the client to really help them understand the expectations. I think another thing that comes to mind is, showing the SWTC videos, showing the clients on the job site, them talking about it, the work that they're doing. And of course, connecting with other parents, I think is huge, because a parent is going to trust someone else who is completely empathetic to the same situation, who's had a positive experience. So thank you all for sharing for that. Another thing I'm thinking about is, what steps do you take with a new client before connecting them with an employer? How long does that take usually in the process? When you first meet a client, are you talking about employment right away, or are you just having sort of informational interviews talking about the things they're interested in?
Hi, this is Teresa from CTF. I did think it depends on the individual person and where they're at. You take whatever time is needed as far as gathering information. Some people come in and have had more experience, and so each person is different. I think that's decided when you're going through your intake and discussing and looking at the different things that the individual is looking for. Take that into consideration. If they have natural supports, definitely them, because you're going to need them along the way. And then even look at, as you go out to do your situationals, you say that I have some places that we may be able to go into just to show them or to give them, and make sure that the words of what they're sending is what is actually wanted. We do an assessment at the very beginning, and the results of the assessment kind of help us navigate to what occupation a person may be interested in. But definitely as you move forward, some people, it may not be as long as the next, because they're very sure they've had interactions. They're out in the community with their families more. So it all depends on the individual, in my opinion.
Thank you for that, Teresa. Something that comes to mind for me is when I was out at CTF last time working with that client. This was a client that we were primarily using our phones to communicate, right? I was showing him words on my phone. He was responding on my phone. And something that for me was a huge success is I felt like I was like grilling him. I was asking him all sorts of questions. What do you like? I was commenting on he had a Bulls hat on. Have you ever been to a Bulls game? it was his birthday recently. What did you do for your birthday? And all the questions were coming from me, right? He was just answering the questions and I was doing all the asking. And then by the end of the day, he started asking me questions. He started to just open up and ask me different questions about, have you been to a Bulls game? Have you, You know, have you ever done this? You ever heard this song? Have you ever seen this movie? Do you like cartoons? And like to see this person go from, you know, kind of looking at me like, why is this person who I just met asking me all these questions, to him being like, actually, I kind of like this guy and I'm interested in talking to him too. To me, it felt like a huge accomplishment, because then, you know, if I were to continue working with this person, we've gained that trust. You know, when I would ask him to do something in the future, you know, maybe employment related, he's probably going to be more willing to do that, because he's like, I know him, right? We have similar interests. So I think that you know, just asking those basic questions that don't have to do with employment or jobs, you know, just gaining interest in someone's life to show that you care, can really, really go a long way. And I think especially with someone where your communication style is different than theirs. So that's kind of what made me want to ask that question in the first place, was this experience I had out at CTF, which was just, you know, one of those small highlights that I think it takes a bunch of small highlights for the big highlight of getting someone employed. Okay.
Kyle, this is Robin. Could I contribute for a moment?
Sure.
So thank you. This has been a really great community of practice so far. You guys are doing some really wonderful work. I think a theme that I see throughout this presentation today specifically is the use of assistive technology, and how important that is for those folks who maybe communicate differently. Maybe they're nonverbal, but maybe they are verbal but are just shy. Technology can be a way to get language out of folks that aren't necessarily fluent in language or communication. So I just want to remind everyone that if you have a customer that does have any kind of actually, you know, we're talking about most significant customers with most significant disabilities. I think everybody should get an AT evaluation, assistive technology evaluation, to see if there are some technologies that can make work easier for them or help facilitate work. And that is a service that DRS can do with the customers, is to give them a referral to for an assistive technology evaluation. So I want to remind all of you about that. And usually that takes place during the assessment, like at the beginning, during the referral period. So make sure to talk to your DRS counselor about assistive technology. I'll make a little special note about students that are transitioning out of the high school. A lot of times those students are using school-issued devices. And the schools work really hard on, you know, developing an effective means of communication for students. And it is really the saddest thing when school ends and a customer is not able to take, the student is not able to take that device along with them. So it's really important in their last year of services, and I say the last year because sometimes it takes a while to get those devices that they can have as an adult. So DRS should also be involved in that process. If in terms of yes, Teresa, this service can be used for any customer who has a communication need or any kind of need for assistive technology. You should be talking to your DRS counselor about a referral for an evaluation. We have a contract with IATP, and I think they might, I think IATP covers most of the state, but I think somebody different, and I can't recall the name exactly, covers the northern portion of the state, maybe Chicagoland area. But I just want to make sure that everybody realizes that this is a service that is eligible to DRS customers, and we should be absolutely utilizing that. And especially for those students that are transitioning out of high school programs, we want to make sure that they have a device of their own to take with them when they leave. Now, some of them, their insurance or Medicaid there can be a case made for a communication device for some folks, but that's not always the case, unfortunately. So please take advantage of the service. That's my public service announcement for today. You're welcome.
Thank you for that, Robin. And I just want to piggyback off that, a couple things. You know, when you get a new client coming out of the school system, it should be you should have some sort of assistive technology documentation that might give you an idea of what device they were using. So if that's something that they were successful with in the school system, you can recommend that when you do reach out to DRS or IATP. And another thing I just want to say is it seems like the process has gone really smoothly. I mean, there's been times like with AID, we talked about it, you know, the potential of getting this device. And then within like a month, the client had the device. Like it seems like they're really, really quick on the turnaround. You know, I'm assuming it's, you know, if all the paperwork and the eligibility and all that is processed correctly and they get everything they need. But it seems like something that is, you know, easy to take advantage of. So yeah, if you do have clients that you think that would benefit from that, you know, look at the IATP website or simply reach out to one of us and we'd be happy to sort of help you navigate that process. Okay, let me get back to, so we're at 3:00 here. We got another half hour. I'm just going to look at both of these questions together. You know, what factors help you determine a new client is ready to meet a potential employer? You know, this could also be, you know, phrased in another way is if you have a job opening that aligns with a client's goals, skills, wants, you know, how do you then bridge that gap? You know, what kind of technical assistance are you providing them to ensure that they are most successful in meeting that employer for the first time? And then conversely, you know, what do you disclose to the employer before the initial interview? You know, are you talking about the supports they may need, or do you wait until after that first interview? Just sort of, you know, once you got A, you know, a client that you know wants a particular job with B, an employer that has that particular job, how do you bridge that gap? If that's clear. And maybe it's not clear.
And Kyle, were you specific? Are you going off of these discussion prompts here, and which question exactly are you on? Because I feel like you might have been on the last question, but then you may have also been on a different one.
I'm just kind of looking at the bottom two. I'm just kind of opening the floor for a response to either of them.
So I would say I have a response to disclosure. Honestly, that has to be a customer choice. Customers have to be agreeable to disclosing any aspect of their disability to the employer. It's not our duty to share that on the customer's behalf, unless, of course, they ask for us to facilitate that. We should be working with our customers to talk to them about disclosure and the importance of disclosure, because it is important for an employer to fully understand the needs of the employee so that they can accommodate them correctly on the job. I would say this is one of the biggest factors of, or one big factor of customer success on a job is whether or not they have disclosed their specific needs that require accommodation. Sometimes customers disclose too much, they share it all, and employers don't need to know it all. But they do need to know what factors, it's helpful if they know what factors could impact their job performance. So this is a topic that I think that all of the agencies need to be talking with their customers about. And as a matter of fact, I think it would be a great opportunity for us to develop some sort of training on for customers about disclosure as kind of a result of this project. I think that would be really a really great topic and lesson for us to teach them. I'll also add one more thing about this. In my 20 years of teaching students with intellectual and developmental disabilities, if I were to go up to 10 students and ask them if they have a disability, 9 of them would probably tell me no, that they don't. So it's important for self-awareness as well, that they need to know about their disability and how that impacts their life. So that's it.
Yeah, and I guess looking at this now, I guess that's kind of a loaded question. I don't think I phrased it the best way I could. So I appreciate you jumping in on that. Okay. Well, we can move along here. We might end a little early here today. We got
Kyle, this is
Yeah.
Jen McDonough. I'll just add to that more from a, when we're out in the field and we're talking to businesses, keeping in mind that we are hopefully building those relationships on the front end. So it's not like, oh, I saw that this place has a job, so I'm gonna apply, sit with my customer and or job seeker, and we're gonna apply for this job kind of sight unseen. Hopefully most of you're having conversations with these businesses before you're submitting applications. And in those conversations, again, like we talked about when we were in Richmond, it's not in that very first conversation or very first few minutes that you're saying, oh, I work with disabilities. But as you're building that relationship, you're talking in generalities, again, very general terms around supporting individuals with disabilities, and that you are, then as you get closer to bringing maybe somebody in for an interview or for a working interview, whatever that first meeting is less about the disability and more about the support. So, for example, if I was bringing in John and he's my job seeker, I might say, well, I'd love to bring in John to meet with you. As his job coach, I'll be with him to, help clarify any questions that you ask that he may need help with, rewording so that he's able to understand them better. Or I'll be here to help him with understanding what task you want him to try out in this working interview, and I'll be able to show him how to do it. So more along that lines, if that is helpful.
Yeah, and I think that's I had a conversation with Austin about it, and he explained it in a kind of a similar way, and it was very helpful for me to kind of understand that, because I think that sometimes, again, this is my perspective. I'm not out in the field every day doing this, but I have gone out with employment specialists, and it's one of those topics that I think can be interesting to navigate, because you want people to have some insight so they're not instantly turned off, but you also want to respect. Obviously, you don't just want to say this is a person that's A, B, C, and D, but I really like that the way you're talking about it with, I will be there to support, trying to sort of give the employer insight into, you'll be able to navigate things when they come up without fully disclosing things. And of course, like the situation that, like Grace being hired, that relationship was already there. This person was already on board. They were willing to work with her based on the relationship they already had with HSS. So I really think that highlights the importance of, spending that time in the community, making those soft connections, and then turning them into real connections once you've identified people that you recognize are on board with this. Their personality is telling you, like, this person is empathetic, they're understanding, they want to give people opportunities regardless. So thank you for jumping in and sharing that, Jen. And I don't think Austin's on the call, because I really like the way he explains it.
The thing I would add to that, was that's when you have those series of meetings, and this is my grand dog who will not shut up. When you've had a series of those meetings with the employer, they've really bought into the service. And that's why you may not have to have a job interview because they bought into the service, they bought into you as the employment specialist. I'm going to now stop this.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Vicki. Yeah, and I think really well said. It's because I think if you build that relationship, the person is, they want to help you just as much as they want to help the client. They trust Vicki, they trust Jen, they trust Michelle, who's ever working with the client, and they trust that they're not going to set them up to fail or have an employee that's not going to do exactly what the employment specialist is saying. This person is good at this, they're good at this, they're reliable, they're going to trust what you're saying, and making that connection and having it stay strong is gonna work. So I appreciate you all chiming in on that. Does anyone else have anything else? Does anyone else have anything else to add to that, or we can move along to the next slide here. Okay, I appreciate everyone jumping in with their comments and insight. I think for me that's really helpful. These little bits of information can really steer the work in different ways, understanding how other people have navigated this. So I appreciate everyone jumping in. So we're at 311 here. I just want to jump into the quality of life survey training really quick. And you guys may have heard this. I know there was emails going around. All the CRS team have been working to give information to the agencies, to parents, guardians. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of these things while we're all here together as a group. So May 6th through 9th at the iHotel, these are 2 separate days of training. So people have signed up for either the 6th and the 7th or the 8th and the 9th. Just the learning objective is to understand factors that determine a person's quality of life, right? That seems simple enough, but I think understanding how Grace, for example, or the client that Nikki highlighted, how their quality of life was enhanced based on these services. Something as simple as going to Dunkin' Donuts and being able to say, I want water, and not having to have your mom and dad ask it for you. That's just naturally builds someone's confidence. Same with Grace as well. I mean, working at McDonald's, she wasn't really given much tasks. And now, working at Schnucks, she's able to interact with the community. She has a job that she performs well on whatever her hours are. But when she goes there, she knows what she has to do. She's engaged just like everybody else. And that is then transferred over to her quality of life outside of that. She's reading to her family members. They're now building a different relationship with her based on this job that she has at Schnucks. Like these things it's a big drop that leads to a lot of different enhancements in someone's life. So, the evaluation team is looking to see how these SWTC clients, their quality of life is really improved based on these services provided. So there's a tool called the Personal Outcome Scale, and it's going to be used to interview SWTC clients in the future, both when they enter the SWTC program and then when they exit the SWTC program. So this is something that the employment specialists will be utilizing in their day-to-day job duties. It's comprised of basic questions regarding independence, social participation, and well-being. Erica, yes, there will be an agenda. I know that there's a rough draft, so that should be coming down the line rather shortly. So be on the lookout for that. And then I think I already highlighted this, but why it's important, it is going to be something that's going to be utilized within the SWTC project, right? We want the work you're doing to be able to be seen in simple data, right? We can have this sort of qualitative conversations, understanding how this has affected Grace or other clients, but we want people to be able to, look at research and look at data to show how this has affected people, how it has impacted their life. This also aligns with dignity and pay, right? We're trying to build up information and knowledge that can be shared with people to get everyone on board with the work that SWTC is trying to accomplish, which will then be transferred into other agencies as 14C gets phased out. Does anyone have anything else to note? I just have one more thing for the group before we sign off here, but I just want to open the floor if anyone has any questions, comments, concerns. I would like your insights into community of practice. You can always email me if you have ideas to make these more engaging, if you have topics you want us to discuss, I'm more than open to any sort of comments, concerns, critiques. Like I said, this is a community of a practice. We are a community, so I'm trying to make sure that everyone has a voice in these events.
Hi, Kyle. It's
Kyle,
Courtney.
this is Ali.
ID. Sorry.
No, go right ahead, please.
Kyle, I just have an announcement at the end. I don't have a comment for this. Everything was just really great. But I just have an announcement at the end that I think would be beneficial.
Okay. I think we might have the same announcement, but I'll let you give it. Okay. Alita, you were going to say something?
Of course, I'd like to plug the Employment Specialist Roundtable, may I? Okay, so we're excited about the ES Spring 2025 Roundtable event that will be held at the iHotel Conference Center on April 10th and 11th. So all of our employment specialists statewide, we get together for these roundtable events. And for this particular event, we're very excited to let everyone know that we have John Silfie coming as our guest speaker. And Mr. Silfies, as you know, is the owner of the media company that we are working with to develop all of our videos that are these amazing videos that we have posted on our website and YouTube. This company, this organization has did those videos for us, has produced those for us. And so we have talked with him about being our guest speaker, and he's super excited to be there. So yes, he'll be there on the 10th. We also have guest speakers from local CRPs who have moved from 14C programming to a CIE, that's Developmental Service Center in Champaign, as well as the Community Choices in Champaign. So we're looking forward to that again, April 10th and 11th. I'm sure everybody who's supposed to be there are already registered. Just want to give it a plug. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Alita. And I mean, I look forward to it as well. I mean, these events are great, but I think that the SWTC team, when we all get together, like Virginia with the ESs and everyone, I know for me, I'm always really excited to see someone on a work level, a personal level. It's always really great to catch up and have those conversations. So we'll see you all in Champaign. And then Courtney, I will let you jump in here.
Okay, thanks. Just a couple. Let me see if I can get my camera. It was not working well earlier on a previous meeting. Okay, there I am. Sorry. So, just two things. I wanted to just recognize Nikki Delgado. This is her last community of practice, so she is leaving AID and returning home to Florida, and we are gonna miss her greatly. That is really an understatement, but she has done an excellent job being our director of employment. And so we are going to miss her, and we thank her for her blood, sweat, and tears in pouring into the program and each and every employment specialist and client. So I just want to thank Nikki and well wishes. Her last day with our agency is April 25th. So I want to thank her. And then the next announcement I was going to make is that I sit on another committee, and we just hot off the presses. So Kyle, if it's okay, I will send you the flyer. But we are hosting a virtual event to employers. The target audience is employers. And we're going to have a speaker. Her name is, sorry, I should have had it up. From Ada, I'm so sorry. My apologies, too many screens up. So it's called ADA 101 for employers. It is a free workshop. Like I said, it is virtual. It is going to be May 7th from 1 to 2:30. And our speaker is going to be Marcy Hensman. She's the project coordinator, research specialist at Great Lakes ADA Center. So, Kyle, I will send this to you, and you can send out to the group. Again, the target audience is to employers, and some of the topics that Marcy's going to be speaking on is definition of disability, Title I employment, tax credits, concepts of reasonable accommodations, voc rehab, and other resources. So hopefully you all can get your community of employers to join. So I will send that on to Kyle.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Courtney. That's awesome. I mean, and I think that that probably be beneficial for anyone working with employers as well to kind of give some language and tools when discussing ADA with families and guardians too, probably. Just to recap some stuff that was happening in the chat, please bring your iPads to the Employment Specialist Roundtable. I would like to give a personal shout out to Nikki D because she has been beyond supportive, both with everything SWTC and just helping me learn, things about DRS and contracts and billing. And, she's really schooled me in some things where I've really been kind of unsure about things. She's always has documents and different things to support learning that I have utilized in multiple capacities. So we are going to miss you very much, Nikki. Best wishes for everything in Florida. And with that, I think that will conclude our community of practice for the day. If anyone's got any final words, we're here. You can stick around for a few minutes. But as always, I appreciate you guys, appreciate the work that you're doing. We'll see you all in Champaign